video about recruiters including handicap now for good golfers.
Okay.
And that having a low handicap is making it easier to get jobs.
Oh, I saw the video.
Right?
100%. You were right.
So
I quoted you on that. Actually,
okay, so it's
someone
interesting.
Else.
I got blown up in the comments. People like, I'm a recruiter. We're not doing that. This is like influencer engagement land. And guess what? Now there's all these videos of recruiters going, guys, guess what's happening? If you have a low handicap, it is absolutely working. But it makes total sense. Like for me, if I'm going to hire, especially a salesperson, if you have a low handicap versus somebody else who's equally as capable of selling and they don't golf, I'm taking the golfer.
100%. Dude, I see it on like the country club level, right? Like we're new to town. I'm the new guy. You know, I get the invite to this like, you know, the boy band group, right? You know what I mean? Like the cool guy group. If I come in and I'm fucking shooting 110, I'm not getting another invite.
Yep.
Right? I better have a great personality, be a shitty golfer, but be a fast golfer.
Yeah,
right? Like, I mean, that's like my thing. I'm like, if you're fast, if you lose a ball and you're not searching for it and you drop another, like you move on. But like, I remember, you know, years ago in college, one of my buddies was a good golfer. We both joined like a local club back home. And he was a good golfer, dude. All the old dudes were like, hey, join our group, play Thursday team with us, Saturday team with us. I didn't get an invite by anybody. So like, yeah, if you're in the working world, I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so for you being in real estate, because you're doing a lot in real estate, you sell real estate, you're investing in real estate, and you just moved down to San Diego, went straight into a country club. Yeah. Did you go into the country club to golf? Did you go into the country club to network or both?
To golf.
Okay.
100% golf.
No networking.
Nothing to do with business. I think it'll naturally come like through friendships, but I didn't want to go there with like, oh, I hope I can raise capital. You know, like, no, like I really, moving to San Diego was more like, I hope I don't do much business there because I want it to be like my peaceful place.
Right.
Like, you know, after so many years, 25 years being in like LA and it being surrounded where like, I want to do business here. Like I want to get known in this city because then I can buy more flips because if I'm the guy in the town, people will think of me. Now it's like, I just want to go and I just want to like hang out with buddies. Like I feel like I haven't just had friends in a long time.
What do you think the percentage is of people that want to just join a country club for that reason versus the business opportunity? Or does the business opportunity even exist?
I think it does after you become friends. I think if I'm there for 2 years and we're buddies and then, you know, someone's like, I really like what you're doing. I want to do it with you. It always naturally just happens eventually. But I think it's probably depends on your age. So the question is, right, like what percentage? I think if you're young in your business, it's probably a higher percentage that you're hoping for opportunity. I think when you're more established in your business, like I am, you know, like you are, like it's going to happen, but it's going to be a secondary thing. I'm going there truly for friends.
Okay, so if you're under 40 at the club, you're probably trying to pick off some business.
Yeah, if you're a realtor, you're hoping to sell someone's house. If you're into development, you're hoping to raise some capital, right? Like, but I think, yeah, for me, no. I don't want to muddy the waters.
Yeah,
I don't ever want to show up and it'd be like, oh shoot, is Jesse gonna pitch us on like the fourplex he's trying to build? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's exact. I want to go there and be like, I don't want to talk about the tech company you started or the real estate thing I'm doing. I just want to talk about like, hey, the kids have a baseball game this weekend, and you know, let's play some golf. The Dodgers are playing the Padres, and you know, in the NLDS. Like that was fun. Like the last few weeks, like playing the round of golf, watching the game in the clubhouse. You know. I'm one of 2 Dodger fans in the whole club. Right. Like it's like so.
What do you think the longevity of country club is? Like, do you see that country clubs are having to change, and if so, what type of changes are you seeing?
I think it's going to go forever now. Like I think like you saw the growth that happened in COVID,
right?
And I think if anyone thinks it's a fad just because it was COVID, just because I had extra time, it's crazy. What COVID did was let people know like, oh, I didn't know this existed. Right. Like the 40-year-old, right? The 30-year-old that was maybe too busy grinding and didn't have time. All of a sudden, like you realize, at least for me, right? Like at a 42-year-old dad, 3 kids, like a father that's very engaged with his kids, it's like, I'm realizing this is where I can make a friend group now.
Right.
Like, you know, you had your friends in high school or college, and then you kind of like, you got your, you know, your group chat buddies that like just all the stupid memes forever. And now I'm like, oh, well, I have 3 boys, and hey, I meet Mikey. He's at the club and he's got 3 kids. Oh, our kids are in the same class. Like by default, it's like, I can have a dad friend now. Right. So like, that's one part of it. And I think that's why it's not going to go away. You look at country clubs and how the influx of younger people, like it's not a 60, 70-year-old club anymore. Any clubs, they're all 30, 40, 50. Like I'm a member at the Hideaway in La Quinta, right? Like the Hat. And that was like traditionally the desert's been 60, 70, 80-year-old people. Like you go on a Friday or Saturday night during season at La Quinta at the Hideaway, and you'll see 25, 30 people that are 40 years old.
Yeah. I'm excited that golf's doing that. Like it's golf is not the same as skateboarding, but we went through that in like the early 2000s with skateboarding. It was like we had a big kind of insurgence, or there's this big growth, new people getting into the industry, people wanting to dress like skaters that weren't skaters. And then our industry kind of took off from that.
Yeah.
And you're kind of seeing that happen in golf, where golf's finally becoming cool.
There's so many cool brands. Like I'd say the skater movement has reached the golf brands now,
skaters
right?
have infiltrated the golf. 100%.
Skaters have infiltrated everything.
Yeah,
now. Like you realize, like the '90s, 2000s skate era of like the legends like you guys that then I don't want to say grow up, right? But you're like, all right, what's the next thing? And it's golf, it's fashion, it's real estate. It's like, you know, I have like a love for any professional anything, and just a respect of like I don't know how much money you made or all the guys made as skaters, right? Probably not as much as like a baseball player, but like you were the best of that. And when you take that attitude, you can like literally apply it to anything, which is I think why you've been so successful in real estate, right? Like determination, hard work, dedication. It's like I just find it to be like such a fascinating thing. Like if we can push our kids to do anything, like just any sport, right? Like I mean, extreme sport to baseball to soccer, like just play hard, show up to those practices 2 days a week. Doesn't matter if you're, you know, the next Mike Trout. Like by the time you get into college, you're like, oh wow, I actually did something for the last 20 years. Day in and day out, whatever it was. Like then it's like, because we throw them into the real world, right? And it's not as fun. And it's like, but you know how to start something, you know how to finish something, you know how to communicate. Like there's just like being the top of anything, I think just translates to every industry. Like,
yeah, I agree. I think it's unfortunate because pro athletes have all of the tools and they've already proven it out that they can be the best, right? But you don't see a big percentage of athletes take that determination and obsession and competitiveness and apply it elsewhere. And I always think about why that is. I don't know if it's because an athlete just dedicated 20 plus years of their life to mastering something and the thought of having to do it all over again is exhausting. I don't know if it's a struggle of they figured out one game and now they have to figure out what it looks like in the real world, and you know, how do they apply the skills and tools that they have in a game they don't even know how to play yet?
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate. The positive thing, and this is kind of what we talk about a lot to athletes, is if you watch the athletes that actually go into the next level and put the same dedication that they did in their past sport, they kill it.
They're unreal.
Oh, they're so obsessive.
Yeah.
And they're so relentless that they will not stop until the job is done. And that's a characteristic that does very well in a capitalist structure, 100%.
Yeah, you see the A-Rods, right? Retires and then has a huge fund now, developer, like, right? Obviously, they have a big influence too.
Right.
Like, so I would add on to these athletes that are unbelievable athletes, have 10, 20-year careers, but never built a following or never engaged with their fans properly, right? Like, because it's like, if you do that part and you flip out of the business and go into something else, I mean, you're huge.
Yeah, that I think we're past that. I think from this point on, you won't see athletes not do that.
Okay.
I think you have to now.
Yeah.
I think we're just still kind of experiencing some of the tail end of people didn't build followings because it wasn't totally acceptable in the early, I don't know what, 2010s to 15s. Yeah. Now, like if you're picked up by a team and you have a manager, like that's not an option anymore.
Yeah, they're like making you be nice to your fans.
Yeah, but it is interesting. Like with skaters, there are a lot of skaters that come into selling real estate. And we have a handful out here that have done very well, right? You have Danny Montoya, you're friends with Kev, right? You have Scott Kane. Like there's a lot of people that basically went, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it well. And they're killing it.
Yeah.
You know?
They had to find the next passion.
You have to.
Like you have to you have to be passionate about whatever that next thing is.
That's right. So what's going on in the real estate world? You guys primarily focus on single family.
Single family, yeah.
Okay, what's going on, man? What's going on with prices? When can the person buy again? What are we seeing out there?
I have no clue. I mean, like when you look at the residential, like actual traditional sales market, I mean, I don't see prices falling.
Right.
I don't find it to become more affordable. Such a shortage of inventory still. Interest rates are impacting everything, right? Because it's a direct correlation of how much your affordability is. We saw a little spike when the rates went down. We saw all of a sudden inventory pick up, or not inventory, transactions pick up, which was really cool.
On the purchase side.
On the purchase side, yeah. You know, as a flipper, right? Everything that's been happening has been amazing because when I list a property,
right,
you know, I'm still getting multiple offers. Prices keep going up higher and higher.
Okay, so you can still flip homes right now.
Oh, I'm still flipping. I own 17, 19 right now.
Okay.
That we're working on.
Okay.
You know, yeah, we're highly active. It's highly profitable still.
Okay, so before we get to the flip side, because I want to touch on the sales side, are you seeing let me think of the best way to say this. Is everything we're hearing about realtors finding new careers really happening? Are you seeing a lot of people peel out from the industry because it's become challenging, or is that just in the news cycle?
You know, I think it's a little bit of like media nonsense. Look, there's going to be like the low echelon, low tier, I think, of any industry that as soon as it gets hard, pivots back to whatever their previous thing was or whatever the next easy thing is.
Right.
So we've definitely seen, you know, whatever, 100,000 or 200,000 leave. But I think there's 2 million licensed real estate agents in America, like over 2 million.
Right.
So if you lost 100,000 or 200,000, it's not that big of a percentage, and it's more the ones that never do a transaction. So really, like, I just came from a conference. I flew in last night, and it's a 22,000 agent brokerage called The Real Broker, and they had maybe 5,000. I mean, dude, the vibe in there was like it was the greatest real estate market in the world.
Huh.
Oh yeah, like if you're producing, you're producing. Like, so my personal real estate division, because I don't know if you know, I sell for hedge funds. So
I
sell
know
for
that.
like Blackstones. I like that.
Man, the comment section just turned on.
Oh,
right
dude,
there.
every article about ruining affordability for America, yeah, like that's my team.
Interesting. I didn't know
but
that.
but I'm the dispo side, so I sell their properties.
Right.
So everybody hates them because they buy properties. I'm helping them put them back into the marketplace.
True marketer.
But like,
okay, so that's interesting.
I have 121 listings right now.
Okay, so on that, I want to ask you this because I've asked everyone in real estate this opinion, and I think it's pretty consistent. How big of a factor is the hedge funds or PE coming into single family playing a role in housing affordability?
Oh yeah, here's your fucking bait. Here's the clickbait. Dude, okay, I've been working with the hedge fund since 2012. I did do acquisitions for them back when they first entered the marketplace. I do not believe that they have hurt our marketplace at all. I think it's a bunch of BS. You look at mom and pop investors, me and you, we are a much larger percentage of the owners across America than the 10 or 12 giant hedge funds. You know, you see one person or one corporation, you go, they have 80,000 homes. They've ruined America. How many transactions actually happen a month? Dude, it's 1 million, like per month, like across the country. It is not like 4,000 homes get sold and this one company has 80,000. There's so many transactions and movement of hands of properties. Like, they are not the reason that we don't have actual like enough inventory on the market. Like, it's not true. In fact, they're helping a cause, in my opinion, because we have a shortage of housing when it comes to renting, right? Like, affordability is high, and it's not because of them. Like, they bought in 2011, 12, 13, 14, when the average Joe was not buying, right? Because they just came out of the recession. They didn't have enough money. They were coming out of foreclosures. Like, they helped the economy, in my opinion.
Let me ask you this. So I think it made sense. Now, no, let me give a little more context. I always stayed out of single family because the idea of having to manage that many individual properties seemed much harder to me than, one apartment building. Like, I'm going to negotiate 50 individual deals. I got to figure out financing for them. I got to stick, property manager on all of this stuff, or I can buy one 50-unit apartment.
Yeah.
It always seemed easier, right? Now, if you look back at the financial crisis, you did see, like what you're just explaining, you did see hedge funds come in and start buying single family. Now, that made sense for me. And if you have it wrong, if you have it different than me, then add in. That always made sense for me because real estate pricing got hit so hard that I think it made sense for those funds to come in and deal with the managerial nightmare because the price was at such a good purchase. Now, fast forward to 2020, 2021, 22, prices were not going down. Prices were through the roof. why now would the hedge funds come in when they're not getting the price capture and they still have to deal with the managerial nightmare? Why buy now?
I think their machine is so big that you have to continue to feed the machine, right? You now have all infrastructure. You have all the property management companies. You have the rehab teams. So every time now, if you can just add 1,000 more homes, right? Even if the cap rate that like back in the 2012, they were buying at a 10 cap, right? Now, maybe here in California, they'll buy at a 4.9, but it's like those extra 1,000 at a 4.9 when they have no more costs that needs to be increased. Think about it, right? It's just bringing right to the bottom line. And then they have a lot of things. They have to swap out the capital, right? They're doing stuff that we don't need to do, right? Like they have 1031 opportunities now because they've had these homes that they bought, 10, 11 years ago now that they've seen all the equity gain and the rents are now fixed here. So they can go, hey, that property in Southern California that we bought for 200 grand is now worth 7. That's where I come in. I sell it for them. They take the 7 and then they'll go to Atlanta and buy 3, right? So the $3,000 a month in rent here, they moved that money over there and they picked up, $4,800 in rent. So like they've now increased it. So like they can continue to recycle the money now and redeploy it and make a bigger increase. But you're spot on. Like when they came into the marketplace, like the asset class didn't exist.
Right.
Guys like you, why would we do that? That's what they said. We own hotels, we own high rises. Like why would we ever do this? And it was like, well, because you're buying real estate at 50 cents on the dollar.
Right. Yeah.
Like the analyst says, this will just go up someday, guys. Like, and when it does, we exit in 7 to 10 years. It's now become a model where they're not exiting as much because they realize like they've created a model that actually works, right? They're publicly traded, they're REITs, they do well. But for all the people that are like, they're the bad guy, they haven't bought very much in many, many years. Like you keep seeing the articles that they are. And I'm like, as a guy that buys for them, I would love to be buying 50 homes a month for them. Like that makes me a lot of money. Like it doesn't exist. I haven't sold them a house in California, I think since like 2014. But from like 12 to 14 or 12 to 15, they acquired 7,000.
So what do you, like in your perspective, what do you think the key factors are to the housing costs today?
What do you mean?
Why is housing so high right now? How does the Fed get away with tripling the interest rate and housing price not going down? What are the factors that played into that?
I think so many people were locked into the lower rate, right? So they didn't have to like exit on those properties. So we had no inventory come in. Like they did a good job in the fact that they slowed down the people going crazy and us selling the houses for way more because there wasn't as many buyers. But I don't think they took into account for there was still a lot of buyers. Right. Like, okay, my rate's not going to be 2% anymore. So you raise it to 6 or 7, and of the, let's just call it 1,000 buyers, there's like, oh, cool, 800 left. Well, there's still 200, right? That can afford that higher payment or have the big vision to say, hey, we're going to push ourselves a little bit more right now, honey. We're going to buy this house, but eventually rates will come down. We'll ride the wave back down. We'll be in a better position.
Right. So raising interest rates did take some of the demand off, but the demand was still above supply.
The demand was still crazy.
Okay.
I mean, we're still seeing it. Like I don't know what could change this other than like maybe a crash again. Like a 2007 or 2008. Like almost feels like the system needs a full reset. Like you just got to wipe the slate clean, which I hate. I lived 2008, dude. I went under. I lost my house, car repoed. Right. Like had to move in with my my wife's mom and dad. Like I don't wish that upon the world again.
Right.
Like that was terrible. And we didn't have kids then. If I had to go through that now, dude, it'd be horrible. So I hope there's another option. I hope there's another way that we can figure this out. Like I want more people in houses. Right. Like 100%. And I don't need the prices to go up 20% year over year like we saw since the COVID days, right? Like that's actually was bad. I would rather have seen 5% growth and it go for 20 years than 20%, right?
I totally agree. So main factor, I think we're aligned on this one, is supply.
Yeah.
There's just not enough supply. Right?
Yeah, not enough supply.
Okay. So.
And we can't seem to get enough supply on, right? Like you guys are doing it. I'm trying to do it. And brutal. You might go through this, but it's the red tape. Like it's so hard to get through the cities that even I get frustrated. As someone that's trying to do this every day, like I go like, oh my God, I don't want to, like it's going to take me 9 months to try to get this ADU. Like an ADU, like not even like the stuff you're building, right? Like to where I go, you know what? I can just clean it up and flip it and make money really quick.
Yeah. Kevin Leary just came out and said California is impossible to invest in.
Really?
It's uninvestable. And somebody asked my opinion on that. I was like, look, he's not wrong. Like California is so brutal. There is so much red tape. There's so much regulation that it frustrates investors and they look for other areas where it's easier to do it.
Yeah.
That's how money moves, right? Money typically goes in the direction where there's the least amount of friction, right? But I've always had the outlook of, yes, but what opportunity is created here because all the investors are out there.
Sure, yeah.
If we're in a housing crisis, like we're talking about, and there's lack of supply and investors won't touch this place, okay, well, what does that mean for the ones that are willing to go through this nightmare to build, right?
Yeah.
It means rents continue to go up. It means value continues to go up.
Your profits are bigger. Like,
everything.
I mean,
yeah, like, the Midwest, this was like the hot one for us. 2019, we're raising money, right? And the amount of investors that went, I'm not investing in California. I'm going to invest in the Carolinas. I'm going to invest in Atlanta.
Tennessee.
Right? It was everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just easier out there. Now, fast forward to last year, all those syndicators are giving rent concessions and they're pulling back on distributions. And we're looking around going, our rents are going up. We haven't paused any distributions, right? So there's a counter effect, or there's a different outcome that's created than I think some of the politicians are not considering when they create this policy.
Well, and the fact that you get to build a portfolio in California, like you think about all the states in America, it's the greatest place to be able to own real estate in California that's going to have the highest appreciation.
Yeah.
Because it's more expensive, you get the tax benefits of the depreciation, right? And then you get the cash flow of the highest rents. I mean, like, it's why I don't flip anywhere but California. Like, it would be way easier for me to go to Toledo.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? It'd be a lot cheaper. I could say I do 100 flips a year.
Right.
Instead, my average price point here is like $1.2 million on a purchase.
Right.
So when I say I have 17, it's like, well, you can assume I'm close to 20 million out.
That's right.
Right? Like, you know what I mean? But the profit, if I'm returning 10% on that, it's a bigger profit.
100%.
It's less homes to manage.
100%. People want to talk about units all the time.
Oh,
right? Whenever I see them, like, how many units are you operating? Right? I'm like, oh, we're building 200 right now. And like, I've got 2,000. I'm like, yeah, but my 200 is, $160 million of cost on construction.
At $3,300 a month in rent per unit versus $700
Yeah, so I think
door.
it's like, look, like investing in California, as much as I'm all in here, it's not for everyone. Like California is like playing the big leagues. Like the barrier to entry here is real. Yeah. You need to know what you're doing. If you don't, you're going to get smacked.
Yeah.
And so maybe, the Midwest is better for you.
Stay in the Midwest.
Talking about flips right now. How are you guys well, I mean, you answered that in the beginning. If you don't see a housing correction, then you don't really need to worry about protection on, your back end sale price. But how are you thinking about that, right? If you're going to get in at, let's say you're all in at $1.5 million and, your pro forma showing that you could sell it for $2 million and you've got your, $500,000 spread, and then it's not 2, it's 1.6.
Yeah,
1.5. How do you protect yourself?
All right, so I still worry about that.
Right.
You said maybe you don't worry. No, I worry about that. Like, because it could happen at any point. I'm not over leveraged, right? Like, I'm not going 0 down on purchases or getting capital from everyone. Like, I put in a lot of my own capital on it so that I'm in a position that I feel that if I had to hold it, right, for whatever reason, I could probably float it for not an infinite amount of time, but long enough. But I think more than like. A lot of investors go, I'll just keep it as a rental. My price point's a little higher that I don't think I could flip it to a rental without maybe losing a few thousand a month. But I have enough of a spread because of my after repaired value and stuff that I do think I could blow it out.
Right.
Like, I can just decide I'm not going to make the $300,000 in profit. Let's just go. And I think I learned definitely in the last one. The market moved so fast in the last turn when it went under in 07, 08. That I kept telling my wife, it'll be fine. Don't worry. This is like, I remember it being like, July of 07, and it was a bad month. And I'm like, it's no big deal. August, September, October, then went into like February of 08, and I'm like losing my house. And I just kept dumping the savings to like keep it going.
Yeah.
I think now, like when COVID hit, here's a great example. March of 2020, I was probably buying 6 or 7 houses in escrow, whatever, like in between February, March, and April. COVID hits. And it's like, hey, we're shutting down for 1 month. Bro, I canceled escrow. Didn't buy them. Said, no way, not doing it. And I'm a big reputation guy. Like, if you were selling me that house and you're a realtor, I don't ever want to like do bad and not perform because it's relationship based.
Right.
And I would have to be like, Mikey, I'm so sorry, man. I don't know where this market's going. I have to cancel.
Right.
Oh, we'll keep your EMD. Then keep it.
Right.
Take the 10 grand, 20 grand, 40 grand. And then what happened during COVID? Market shot up.
Yeah.
Right? Kick myself that I didn't buy those 7 houses because I would have seen because every investor pulled out in those 3 months. Everybody got scared. So I think like I definitely am very aware. I have no fear of pulling out if I need to,
right.
Slowing down, right? I mean, I slowed down for a good year. Like I knew that after COVID, I felt that the market, what we just went through was going to happen. So I actually ratcheted back like into 23 and didn't go into 23 with as much inventory. I focused on like kind of closing out some legacy deals that I had.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I went into 23 with like, let's say every year I do 35, 40 flips a year. Maybe I'm carrying 10 to 15. I went into 23 with like 6. And I focused all of 22 and 23 on just bringing the capital back in,
right,
to kind of refocus and go like just, because we all knew rates were going to start to move up. Like
right.
we saw it happening. I mean, I was like, okay, well, how long is this going to go for? So I pulled back. Some friends didn't, and they still were okay. But I'm at this point now, mid 40s and 3 kids that I can't afford to get wiped out again, right? I just can't do it. So I would rather be a little cautious when I need to be. And say, oh man, I missed an opportunity of 2 great years. But you know what? Did I? Because I survived.
Right.
Right? Like everybody talks about like, I could have made more money. Like I now look back and I go, I didn't lose any money.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yes.
So dude, then I went hard on it. Like after we were already like, hey, rates have been at 7% now for 5 months. And I kind of like watching the market. I'm like, all right, looking, the earthquake hasn't hit. Let's go back in now.
Right.
Right? Like I feel like there's always a new norm that hits. The emotion is when rates go up really fast and everybody goes, oh no, right? What's the emotion right now? Election.
Yeah.
Oh my God, nobody's gonna buy, no one's gonna buy. What's gonna happen to interest rates? What's gonna happen to prices? The election's next week, right? And it's like, you feel this freeze. So I'm like, okay, well then I'll slow down with it.
Right.
Right? Maybe I won't buy a great deal that comes to me tomorrow.
Right.
Because there's always another great deal. Like
right.
It's the one thing I learned. Right? Like I'm sure you kick yourself on a couple land deals that you didn't buy or this or that, but then you found 5 more since then.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's not the end of the world when this is what we do.
100%. I try not to dwell on the past.
Yeah.
Like I'll definitely reflect and try to learn from it, but I'm in agreement with you. I think opportunity is somewhat endless. When you're playing the long game, you're not really kind of bent out of shape if you missed one today, right? How big of a deal do you think an election is like this? Like, do you take the stance of historically elections don't really move the needle?
Yeah.
Or is this an outlier election? How are you looking at it?
This election does not bother me one bit. I think the media wants to blow it up, right? They want to say that there's conflict between the 2 parties in society and this and that. And I think the one thing when it comes to housing, I don't know about anything else other than housing, 'cause I'm not that smart, is people need a home. People need shelter.
Yeah.
So does a buyer sit on, the back burner for 30, 60, 90 days? They can only wait so long. And then they have that conversation at the dinner table that says, we need to buy, babe. Okay, right. Can we buy now?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't think the fact the election's gonna do anything. Does a new president come in and make some changes and like the world reacts to that? And then we fall into some sort of crisis. Does the next president need to fix maybe what happened in the previous 4 years? Maybe, right? Like we're in a situation, right, where we're gonna have 2, like either one's gonna be a new president. So like the way I see this one is I'm like, either way, they're gonna have to do some sort of course correcting from the previous 4 years.
Right.
So like when there's a typical incumbent, you have the argument that says, well, you already know what we have there. If they win, everything's gonna be great. It's no big deal. The other person is gonna be the changer, right? Either one of these people are gonna have to come in with some new ideas. So I think we're in the same spot no matter what. As long as they don't mess with the regulatory of us as real estate, professionals and developers and
You nailed it. So, for real estate, it's a little bit different. Like, the stock market moves much gnarlier, much quicker than us. Yeah. But now, look, I have my personal opinion on the candidates and who I want to win.
Me too.
But at least historically, what you see, and it's kind of exactly what you just said, the question marks promote fear and uncertainty. And the biggest thing that can happen that can create uncertainty is the trifecta. Is president, House, and Senate.
Yeah.
When you have all 3 aligned, that's when what you just mentioned can happen. All of a sudden, big regulatory change happens fast and quick. That can disrupt markets. And so they don't typically like that. They want some type of check and checks and balances to keep some type of consistency and not too much change happening too fast, right?
I think back to your previous questions. I don't know if I fully answered the market, the change, what would happen. I feel like I'm safe enough that I would be okay. I like to think that. And if a big change happened, right? Like if the market just went berserk and we did go down 30, 40%, right? It would hurt for the short term. But there's a new opportunity. If you can survive that hurt,
sure.
What's that opportunity? Are we back to 12 and now we're buying Southern California real estate at, now 35 cents on the dollar?
Right.
Could you go, if you went back in time in 2017, how much more stuff would you buy?
Oh,
right?
I'm in it right now. Last year, right? 2013 was a bigger correction for us than 2009.
13?
Oh, I'm sorry. 2023.
Oh,
last year. Sorry. 2023 was a bigger correction for us than 2009, right?
Okay.
And 2023 felt like raising money in 2009. It was brutal, but it was the buying opportunity, right? If you look at cap rates for us in Southern California, they moved almost a full percentage point last year. In 2009, they moved like half a point.
Really?
Yeah. Now,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but there's some nuance to it. We saw such big rent increase that the rent increase and the cap rate drop kind of kept values somewhat in line. But as far as purchasing goes, cap rates have moved. And so we went on we attempted to go on a buying frenzy in 23. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm back in 2009. I felt like I didn't capture it all the way when I was younger. I want it now.
What?
And raising money was a lot harder. Raising money in 2023 was brutal.
The raising money portion. What about the buying portion?
You got to have the money to buy.
But right? I'm saying, like, if you had the money, were the deals, like, were you able to knock them down easy because no one else had money?
Okay. So exactly right. And this is like for our industry and how my business is built, you have deal flow and you have capital. And they typically don't line up at the same time, right? 2021, 22, capital is through the roof. Everyone's giving you money, right? They don't care about the deal. Here's my money.
Sure.
There's no deal flow. It was so hard to get good deals. 23 shifts. We have so many deals crossing our desk that we're going, there's too much for us to even look at. And capital pulls back, right? So you typically have this window where like 2016, 2017 is the best window because deal flow's still okay, capital's okay. They're not, outweighing one another.
Interesting.
But from what I'm seeing, we're about to see capital turn back on hot.
Really?
Yes. You're starting to see the institutional investors go, yep, ready to start looking. On our end, we saw capital increase, 3x from what it did. So I think we're going to be in a situation again where there's going to be a little bit of deal flow for us all to capture, and then we're right back into a challenging deal flow market where capital's trying to get into play.
What's your take on, have you been following the BTR?
No. The build to rent.
The build to rent community.
I have.
Because I go to all the hedge fund conferences since I sell for the funds, like the IMNs. And BTR has been the craziest buzzword on the build to rent single family communities. Yep. And that's kind of, to circle back to the hedge funds, right? Like, well, they're not even taking housing offline because they're now paying developers to go build 200 home communities for them. So it's like, well, are they that bad of a guy now?
Okay,
right?
so that's right.
And yes, I'm going to get hated on, by the way, on Instagram.
Well, look, I get enough hate as well. You're not going to experience anything we're not experiencing.
But I want people to like me.
Explain the build to rent and why it's different than just building a, townhomes or condos or even just a full single family development.
So, like in a traditional developer, right? You think of a KB Home or a Lennar, they build a community to one-off sell those houses. Right
so
now,
individual,
like you buy one, I buy one, right? We're all neighbors, best friends. Now they're saying we're going to take that same parcel of land, we're going to subdivide it, we're going to do all the separate APNs, and we are now going to sell the whole tranche to this one investor to hold them all. So you're going to own a whole. It's the apartment building.
It's one tax. It looks on paper like more like an apartment building.
No. Individualized APN, so someday you can scatter sell them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I thought the build to rent was a little bit different.
No, so this is like, It does exist the way you're saying, and it's easier to get through the planning departments, right? With the one APN, because it's like a multifamily deal, just with private yards, PUD type, development. But no, like the true secret sauce one is hey, Mikey, will you build me 100 SFRs with 100 APNs, and I'll buy it from you. I need a 5 cap. And it's genius, in my opinion, right? One, they get inventory for today. They get to deploy capital. They get a return on it. And what are they going to do in 10 years when they own 100 parcels in one community, when they want to exit the SFR game?
Right.
They're a seller of 100 brand new single family.
Interesting.
So for you as a developer, I was wondering if you're
no,
telling your partner, Mike, hey, instead of us going vertical here on this, should we do a 32 home SFR? And you keep it in your portfolio.
Okay, so the model that I thought they were doing was basically let's call it 100 unit single family development, but on paper looks like our multifamily.
Yep.
It
does exist.
Yeah, so I liked that concept, but because we invest in California, it's very difficult to do it. Our land, we don't have land like Idaho has.
Yes.
Right? In Idaho, if I didn't think their market is about to freaking fall out, that would probably be a market that I would look at doing it. But in California, where we are, everything is really being pushed multifamily, right? And we can have a conversation on the pros and cons of that. But when you look at the amount of units that we need online, and you look at the change that happened from the state level, forcing cities to add X amount of units into their kind of housing element and general plan, when you're looking at having to add 5,000 units and you only got 3 parcels available, you're doing multifamily.
Sure.
It's the only way you can get there, right? So in California and the markets that we play in, as much as I like the idea of build to rent, I just don't think it can happen.
So you see it in Texas, you see it in Arizona,
100%.
right? You see it in
Arizona,
Florida.
another one, great market to do BTR.
Makes sense, lots of land. But we are seeing it here in California.
Really?
In the Hemmets, the Parises, right? Dude, it's still California. It's still Southern California, right? And it's still the populations. You're right outside of Temecula, and there's millions of people. The MSA is good.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
You're out in LA, bro. That shit's expensive.
Yeah, you're building BTRs in Pacoima. No, not Pacoima. Where was that place where Lancaster.
Yes.
Lancaster, prime California real
they
estate
are doing
for
it
BTR.
Lancaster, actually.
100%. So that's interesting. Yeah, I go, now, I don't know what the actual percentage is, and you might, of single family homes in America, the percentage that's owned by hedge fund versus mom and pop versus total, right? They tend to bundle mom and pop and institution in one group.
Yeah.
If the percentage is as low as I think it is, then this statement maybe not be relevant. But if it was higher, I like the idea of if hedge funds are getting into single family, they're building. They're adding new stock to the game, right? I think the frustration for the youth is I'm being outbid by these giants. How can I compete? I'm barely able to, go get groceries, let alone buy the house. And I grew up being told that the American dream was available for me, right? At 30 years old, you're not necessarily paying attention to what got us here. You're not in our industry to really know the nuance of it. But I don't even think they care. It's I can't get the house, right?
But Mikey, they're not even bidding against them. That's the thing. It's media nonsense. I am one of the agents that would be the one submitting the offer on their behalf. I have not written an offer in California since 14.
And I don't say that to take the stance of you need to get out of here.
No, I know, but I think it's important for people to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to read it from a Wall Street Journal article when it says Blackstone just raised $7 billion to deploy in the single family space.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where?
That's right.
That's right. Did they buy for many years? 100%. Did they? Yes, in Arizona and in California, I think they have 8,000 homes in Southern California. But think about that statement: 8,000 homes in Southern California.
No,
it's not that crazy.
Do you guys do any Airbnb stuff?
Do I personally? Yeah.
Yeah. You're bullish on it still?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all.
Explain.
But not because prices have gone down and rents have gone down. I'm not bullish on it because of the energy. I just don't want to focus. Why are you going to build in one location?
Opportunity cost is what you're saying.
No, the energy of me having to deal with, getting with the team and saying, let's furnish it. Okay, now here are the requests. Okay, here's the check-in. The idea of when I was younger, I thought it was cool, the hospitality part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, how fresh is this? Like, yeah, I bought a place in Palm Springs. This is fun. Honey, we can use it when it's like, right? Like, you know what I mean? 10 years ago when I was 32, it was awesome.
Right.
Now I'm like, oh my God, if someone were to call us or complain on a Saturday night, right? Because I don't have enough that we have a big giant property management division that I will see the messages because I'm a type A person. Like I want to be on everything.
Right.
And I don't love it anymore. Like I don't like, it's not exciting to me.
Right.
Like I have a lot of friends in this space, and I think same guys that you have that are like moving to the boutique hotel space.
I have a lot of friends doing it too.
You couldn't pay me to do that. Like you can pay, like, it's like, I didn't go to college to be a hospitality restaurant management major. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
which all my friends are, and I'm not talking any crap. Like, but like, I think it's like a sexiness factor. Like, look at this sick boutique hotel I own, and it's a wellness, and we're getting massages, and you know, our guru's showing up, and I'm like, dude, like you like apartments, I like single family.
Yeah.
It's just, I think we have so.
Look, listen, I own a ton of storage units. Like,
talk about
think
not
about
sexy.
the difference coming from a storage managing a storage unit to hospitality.
Yeah,
right. It's a different monster. But it's interesting that you brought that up because I have right when you said that, I thought of Rich Summers, who's a friend of mine.
Yeah, mine too.
He has a boutique hotel business, and I look at it and I think it's sick.
Yeah.
Like, it is sexy. It's just like retail. There's something rad about retail because it's experience based. Right? I've definitely got to a point where I'm like, I've been in the experience space before. It's freaking hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's brutal. And so for people that do that, that's different than what I want. I would rather focus on like getting a bigger return for less work.
Yeah.
But I know what that does for like the society. Society likes that. Like, we are experience-based people.
Well,
but yeah, hospitality is brutal. Like, I get it on AL.
Yeah.
You should do assisted living. I'm like, kidding.
You know, speaking on Rich, right? Like, we're both friends with him. He's the perfect personality for boutique hotels.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hip, he's fresh. Like, he sells a lifestyle. Like, that's perfect for him.
He's got day in the life.
You know, dude, totally. Like, it's like, I just want to follow him and just like, he's on his boat. Like, you know, and I feel like now I'm just a little bit more. I think that's the cycle of life cycle of being an investor.
Right.
Like, I've touched a little bit of everything.
Right.
To realize, like, where's my heart? Like, it really is. Like, I'm trying to get into multifamily so bad, Mikey.
Oh, you are?
I can't do it though.
Why?
Not because I can't find because my brain, like, everything's like, the world is telling me you need to do density. And then I'm going, I don't want to do density. Like, it's just not me. Like, I think I love single family. I love the idea of someone getting a backyard,
right? Of
someone having a garage, like ADUs. Like, I started building ADUs when it first came out in 2017. I was the first one in my city to get it approved. I can't wrap my head around taking away people's parking in California.
That's so interesting you said that. So,
which is like anti the investor. Like, my best buddies are like, dude, but our cap rate, we're gonna throw 5 ADUs now on this house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it. Like, I have a little bit of a planner heart in me, like urban planning. And I'm like, what's the parking crisis we're going to have here in 10 years when we fix the housing crisis? Like, I mean, I hope we're all getting like parachuted into our houses in jetpacks to go to work because I couldn't find parking here.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a really good point. Like, I'll get on my Instagram, stop building apartments. We need homes. Why are you guys building apartments? We need more homes. And I'm always like, you're right. So I'm glad you do homes. It's just not what I do.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So it is very important that we have people who are building single family. Just not my lane. As far as the ADU thing, I actually agree with you. Like, I am concerned about adding all of this housing stock to neighborhoods where there's no planning done with your planning commission or city council to figure out what the impact of traffic is. I'm with you on that one. I guess the question back would be, how many ADUs are actually going to come online? And do you think that portion alone could even come close to solving the housing crisis?
No. Because I think the data shows that the ADUs that are like the applications are not even actually are ever going to go for rent. It's a very big percentage of the ADUs that we see that are being built, right, are actually homeowners, and they're building them to have like mother-in-law that for like so it's not like.
Dang.
I mean, you could look at the data on it.
So the granny flat is actually in play.
Well, because if you think about, for years, you couldn't even build a granny flat. And I know that, I wanted to do a guest house, right? It was like, well, you could do it, but you can't put a stove. No gas line could be there. And I'm like, if my mom and, I'm like, my dad's 85, I would like him to not have just a microwave. It was we don't want you investor to lie to us and really make it a rental, right? So now we fast forward, we go to ADUs, and now we're allowed to do it, which I actually think it's awesome, right? And then but investors have found the hack of how many of these can I do now, right? So what's interesting about it is it's not very many of them are actually just like anything, just like the Blackstones of the world don't own all the property. If you and I did 100 ADUs this year as investors, that's a drop in the bucket for the housing thing, but there could have been 1,000 applications. The other 900 probably never see the day of light of actually being a rental, which is the perfect world. And this is what I'm trying to figure out. Maybe this is something we could do together, is in the higher density play. Now that I'm in San Diego with the bonus ADU program, I've been doing a lot of research on that, and it's intriguing. And I see people.
We have a project by you.
Do you? Okay. I see people that are taking this SFR lot and they're throwing 5 duplex buildings in the backyard. I don't love the aesthetics of it, but I can get past that. I don't love that there's no parking. So I'm like, why can't we drop a 2-car or a 1-car below the units? And still get to the
we did something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. In North Park, we bought a duplex that was a short-term rental, so Airbnb, and we scraped it and we went 8 stories tall. We did 30. How big is North Park? 32 units. For the parking structure, we did a rotating parking garage.
Oh.
So you basically pull one in, pull one in, pull one in, right? That was the only way we could get the parking to be in line with the amount of units that the city was going to approve for us. But we are not in the market that will allow 0 parking. I looked at a project for that. That's a different game, right?
The half a mile to the TOC, right?
But look, I've spent a lot of time in Europe. Our transportation model here versus there, they're not the same. You have to have a car here.
Yeah,
if you don't have a car, it's a nightmare. That's going to be challenging for a neighborhood.
Do you think the next opportunity for us as developers is parking structures? I haven't heard one person talk about this yet. But
yes. Yes.
I know land cost is high. Why would it make sense? But is there something to the Japanese style of Yeah,
I think so. What
it's the next.
What I'm trying
unit?
to wrestle with is, with everything Elon's doing and the autonomous cars, at what point do we hit a time where no one's driving? Right? When do I have an autonomous car that just takes me anywhere? Or when do I just abandon cars?
Yeah.
I'm not even going to have a car anymore. I'm just going to hit my phone. Robo-car is going to pull up. I'm going to get into the Model X. It's going to take me somewhere. If we get to that point, which I think is possible.
I think it could happen too.
Everything changes with parking, even for single family. Why do you need a garage any longer?
Yeah.
So I think you have the opportunity for garages to go away, but for that autonomous car, where is it going to be parked? And then I guess the question becomes, will we still own individual cars or will we not? If we don't, there's going to be way less demand for something like parking in general, because all you really need to figure out is how to park the robo cars.
Yeah, totally.
And then it's just how it's Apple or nothing right now, or it's Google or nothing. Well, it'll be Tesla and nothing.
Yeah,
right?
I drive a Tesla, so
I do too. It's the freaking best.
It's just I double click and I'm on autopilot on the freeway to get here.
I don't even know how I got here today. So I don't know. The answer is right now, yes, there's an opportunity for parking. Will there be an opportunity for parking 15 years from now? I don't know.
Okay,
it's a question mark.
It's good to know.
Right.
It's like storage units, though, right? That's never going away. Well, and then
I'm in it.
Hey, so we're converting garages, so we're not just losing cars.
Yeah.
Now we're losing storage.
Correct.
Right. So is the storage play bigger than ever?
I think storage is going to become big again. Right now, storage is saturated. There are too many storage units in a lot of cities.
Oh, okay.
And so you're seeing, rent concessions. Storage does feel like a downturn for us. The thing that I think is going to happen, though, is what you're seeing right now is every city council, not every, but in all of the states that are experiencing a housing crisis, which is many, city councils are putting all of the focus towards housing, right? So they're looking at what land they can re-tag as residential, mixed use, multifamily. And in a lot of those areas, they are outzoning storage, right? There's no more storage. And so you have to ask yourself, in those areas where everything is going residential and you're going to see a big population increase and you're keeping storage down, 10 years from now, will we now see the storage shortage?
Yeah.
Right? Will we now see the same experience of shortage where rents are going through the roof, values are going through the roof because you limited supply and increased on the housing element? Where's everybody going to put their stuff? So I think there's a thesis that we might see a rebound 10 years from now, but that doesn't mean we're not buying. I'm buying storage right now.
Yeah.
But it's one storage deal for every like 6 apartments.
Okay.
There's way more demand on multifamily.
I love it, dude. It's like, how can you not be like romantic towards our industry? Like shopping centers used to be a big thing. Now we're seeing like the how they're being repurposed to apartment. But like, I love the recycle factor that just happens.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Like,
me too.
Parking structures, if they do go away, can be converted to storage.
Yeah.
Multi-levels, right? With just a little tweak. They could be converted to apartment buildings. They can
That's
get
right.
scraped because the depreciation's gone.
That's right.
Right? Like, it's just, dude, it's like, it's the greatest industry. So like grateful that I stumbled upon it.
I know.
And I love learning. Like, I've just learned from you on stuff that I've never crossed my mind.
I'm glad I stumbled as well. You said something earlier I wanted to touch on. When you said you're not as leveraged today, talk about how you're financing these deals and where do you end up landing on do you guys look at loan to cost? Do you guys look at, your debt to ARV? Like, how are you guys?
Yeah, so like try to stay at somewhere between like a 70%, 65 to 70 of after repaired value is like the goal on the purchase,
so
right?
So loan to cost, that puts you at where, like 80, 85?
80.
Okay.
80 loan to cost, and then, 65 to 70 on after repaired value. But a lot of it, like I'll put just a lot of, I'll be lower on a lot of deals because I'll put more capital in, Like I have a little bit more capital than I have deal flow. Which has been nice, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm picky. I say no a lot to deals. Like I don't need to be the guy that does 100 flips and then my profit margins go down to 3%, right? Like I want to stay north of 10% on every single deal,
right?
And it's like, and when I say 10%, I'm not talking cash on cash. I'm talking 10% of like, if I'm exiting that property at $2 million, I better be making north of $200,000, and I may only have $500,000 in the deal. Right?
I'm with you. I'm very realistic as well on what real returns for a good risk profile is.
Like if it's cash on cash, I better be like 75% or something on my cash, like something that's really worth it. So like I don't know. Maybe I'm a little worried about the market at some point, so I'm not. I get through these moments where I might over lever for like a quick 6-month period because I'm like 2 or 3 really good opportunities came in that were maybe there's one like I just bought one for $4 million that I've been losing a little sleep over the cash flow, the payments, like the rehab, on top of the other like 19 million that I have. I was like, but it was a good deal. And I was like, okay, I can justify why it's only going to be for 4 months because these other 5 will fall off, right? And so I'm very methodical at that on how I look at it, how I look at the flow of the deals because, you're always buying, stuff's always exiting. Right. But I just I think over so many years, I've been flipping now 10 plus years, 500 plus flips. Like flipping is active income. It's not passive income. So it's just a way to produce, large returns so that you can then I can have enough cash. And because I don't buy a lot of apartments, I don't buy a lot of rentals.
What do you do on the passive side, or what do you do for your long-term stuff?
I don't do much. Buy a couple deals a year. I'm not a big rental guy.
Really?
Yeah.
So what do you do with all the money you're making?
I put it back into flips.
So it's just income.
It's just
you have to be thinking about when that switches over though, right?
Dude, I'm thinking about it every single day. And I'll go buy something and I'll go, I'm going to convert this duplex to a 7-unit. And then I start working with the city and I go, I could just flip it.
I know. I know.
It's hard for me to justify, I just bought a deal for $1.2 million. It's a commercial, but it's in one of the housing specific plans. It was identified through our local, that we can go 10 units. So I'm like, perfect. I'm going to go 10 units on it. And I remodeled the front house, and I was like, I'm starting to work on the back stuff of, tearing down the building, and it's like, I'm like, oh, I'm into it for $1.3 million because the rehab was really small in the front. It's worth $1.7 million. I'm like, list it, sell it, give me the cash. Like I I think someday I'm just gonna like stop buying. A lot of money's gonna come back in, and I'm gonna be the guy that just goes, I'm just gonna pay retail, which is crazy because I've been the value add guy for so long. But you get to a point, I think I'm gonna get tired of being the value add,
right?
You know, or maybe I'll be the capital guy.
So
maybe I go to somebody and I go, I'll be the hard money lender now. Give me a 13% on my money, and I'm just gonna sit back and play golf. Or something.
So
I don't know.
So when you make the decision, I'm just gonna sell it. Is that because you're looking at your return profile for a long-term rental versus what you're gonna capture right now and go, they're not even close?
Yes, it's not that it's a headache, so I don't want. It's more like I go, I can sell this right now. I've owned this under 12 months and I can make 300 grand.
Right.
Or I can spend the next 2 years remodeling it, fixing it up, developing it so that I can make $4 grand a month in cash flow.
So what do you do for tax help? Are you just getting tax out of
it? I just pay taxes. Like, I mean, I buy a couple, but not a lot. Like just, you know.
Well, the amount of projects you're doing a year on the flip side, which is active income, versus a couple on the long term, your depreciation is not coming close.
Well, you know, luckily with cost segregation, like the accelerated, that's helped. You don't need to buy 10. You know, you could buy a couple.
How much of your annual income is going to taxes?
I don't know, 37%. I don't know, 37% exactly.
Okay, well, look, the depreciation is helping a little bit.
But don't forget, we're real estate professionals. I know. So that. You know, I do like, if I keep flipping, money keeps going out. Like it doesn't always show a huge profit. Right. If I made $3 million, but I have $3 million out in rehabs. Right. There's not really a profit really. It's like where it hurt was a couple years ago when I told you that I started letting everything come back in, like all the profit was realized. And that's when I was like, oh, this sucks. But if you're constantly, the money's always going out, right? Like the profit's not as big as you think it is. You know?
Oh, I've been there before. I'm not now, but I've been there before.
Someday. I'm getting closer. Like my oldest son's 13. I think I'm waiting for Carter to like get in the business and go, Dad, you're still grinding and driving houses up. Dude, I love the hunt, man.
Yeah,
I love it so. I'm going to go to Gardena and go look at a flip right after this.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and the rush of like knocking down a deal.
It's fun.
It's so fun. I'm the deal junkie.
Yeah.
I need my son to be the smart one that's like, so Dad, how many assets am I taking over? I'm like, 7. Here they are, son. 14 doors. Yeah. You know, and go, now build it to 4,000.
Right.
You know?
So let me ask you this. If we went through a big downturn, like nasty, 2008, how do you get through that if everything is active?
What do you mean?
Like and I was thinking of Grant on this one actually. Like Grant always talks about in 2008, I didn't own, in 2008, I was a skater.
Okay.
And then I had, money in the stock market and I had some real estate, all long-term stuff, right? But my job wasn't impacted that much on the skating side that like all I had to do was be disciplined and not sell my assets over here. And I was fine. I was actually in a position where I was able to invest more during that time. But, I was listening to him, and the reason why I said that is I just saw him touch on this. 2008, like his whole business basically went away. And he had like, a few hundred units. He's like, the units got me through the impact of my business, right?
Okay, I get the
So my
question
question to you is, do you think about what happens if we go into 2008 again and the income dries up or the deal flow dries up on the flip side? What do you do in that scenario? Or have you learned from the last time to know that, no, I'm going to be buying in that? And
100%.
Yeah.
I think because I'm not levered to the point that some of these young guys that are like trying to be, the big Instagram flippers, that if the downturn happens, I can get out. Like I can get out of properties and still make money. Right, like I have enough wiggle on every property so I could fire sell. I feel that I'm very reactive in the sense that I would move very quick.
Right.
I have like we talked about it. I am not scared to move fast. So I think if all of a sudden I felt like something was going to happen at the end of next week after the election or 2 weeks, whenever it is, I would move super fast on my inventory. I would dump. I'd get like some dry powder.
Right.
I'd sit for a minute and then I would just dump in the market and there'd be so much opportunity.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's why I'm sitting back. Like, like subconsciously, like maybe that's why I'm doing like where I see all my friends, how hard it is to see all your buddies just doubling down and not doing it.
I know.
You know? And I just keep saying, it's because of my kids. I'm older now, right? I'm only 42. I'm not that old, but I love saying it because I think like it tells me to like you can't be a cavalier right now.
Right.
Like just not yet, right? Like
yeah, we all talk about crypto and what that frenzy was like a couple years ago.
I didn't do
and I'm
it.
sitting here like buying apartments.
Did you do crypto?
No.
I didn't
well, let me take a step back. Very little.
Yeah.
And mainly because we have our golf segment pin high, and when we bet, I just put Bitcoin on the line every time.
Got it.
And then I get some TikTok money, and so I just put the TikTok fiat into crypto. But I'm not, like, I'm so small, if I lost it all, I wouldn't even lose a bit of sleep.
I'm probably way smaller than you. I think the most I ever had was like 30 grand. I just never like, and it was hard to see everybody on Instagram or NFTs.
Yeah, I didn't touch it.
Like I didn't touch an NFT.
That's gonna be my statement. Didn't touch that. Yeah.
Couldn't wrap my head around it. You know, even if I wanted to, I don't think I could figure out how to buy one with all the 4 websites you had to go to.
Please make it available for us old guys.
You know,
Do you guys take investors outside capital?
yeah, I will. Yeah,
You will or you do?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for anyone listening, the 2 things I want you to mention: 1, how can people find you? And 2, if people want to get more information on what you're doing on the flips and look at investing, where can they find you?
So on Instagram, at Jessie Rodriguez, Jessie. It's spelled the girl way. And yeah, I mean, I like.
What's the guy way to say?
I think it's no I. It's Jesse. I think.
Oh, you might be right.
I don't know. I feel like one time a 3rd grade teacher called me Jessica, dude, and it's been lingering forever.
Oh, let's let that go.
Got to get the therapist.
Podcast. Childhood trauma.
Childhood trauma. So yeah, on Instagram, it's probably the best place. Send me a DM.
And they can find out about Deal Flow on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while I'll post like, hey, I got a deal. I'm looking for 200 grand or something, right? But like it doesn't really happen that much anymore. I think when I move into your space, I need more capital, right? I've never done syndications. I've never but I want to go there though.
Well, it's just bigger deals.
Yeah, it's gonna be beyond, you know, my comfort zone, and I'm gonna need to do it at some point. And yeah, like let's just find me on Instagram. Let's just be friends. You know what I want? I want deals. I want SFRs. If you guys are listening to this podcast, send me a flip. That's what I need. Maybe I don't need capital, but send me a damn deal. Let's do some business together.
Look, I have a lot of realtors and agents that follow me.
Southern California only.
Send the deals Jesse's way. He is a buyer right now. But man, thank you so much. This is an absolute pleasure.
It was rad, man. Thanks.